MaterialX is an open standard for defining shaders and materials. It was created by ILM back in 2012 and has been open source since 2017. On their homepage, MaterialX.org, there is this beautiful picture of a chess set. This geometry and the MaterialX materials that go along with it are available for you to download and experiment and play around with. Now, in the upper right corner of the MaterialX website, there's a button to take you to the GitHub repository. If you're not familiar with GitHub, this is primarily used by programmers as a way to have a bunch of files where you're able to manage all the individual changes that people make to those files. So sometimes you might have a lot of software code and you might have dozens or hundreds of people working on that. And to be able to track who makes changes when and everything like that, you use a tool like GitHub. And you can also use it to store and track changes to MaterialX materials, for example. In here, there's a folder called Resources. If you go in there, you'll see folders for geometry and materials. Inside geometry, you'll see a chess set. That's the geometry for the chess set that you see on the MaterialX homepage. If you go into the materials folder and the examples and the standard surfaces, you'll see an MTLX file, a MaterialX file for the chess set. And here is the XML document that defines all the materials that you need for the chess set. So what we're going to do now is download everything. So we're going to come back to the MaterialX homepage, the homepage of the repository, and there's a green button called Code. If you click that, there'll be a way to download the zip file. This will download everything. And now let's open that up. Okay, here is the zip file with everything from that GitHub repository. I'm going to right click on it, extract all, and I'll just put it here. I'll just call it MaterialX. Let me extract that. There we go. Now if you go inside the MaterialX folder on my computer, you'll see the MaterialX main. And now you'll see things like CMake, Documents, JavaScript, Libraries. And notice over here, there's CMake, Documents, JavaScript, Libraries. So this is a one-to-one copy of everything that's available on GitHub. In particular, if you go into Resources here and Resources on the GitHub website, you'll see there's geometry here, geometry there, materials, and materials. Let's now go into Houdini and try this out. Right now, I'm in the Solaris desktop. And what I will do is I will first bring in the geometry. So to do that, I'm going to create a SOP create lop. This is a way to give you a portal into all of Houdini's geometry stuff. So now if you hit equals, this is how you can quickly import files. If I go to the demo folder, MaterialX, main, resources, geometry, you'll see that it's not showing up. The chess set file is not there. And the reason for that is the format. You want to use the gltf node to be able to load the chess set. Come up to the file name, and we're going to load chess set here. And here we go. Here is the chess set. Now let's go back up, so we're now in the Solaris context. Now what we're going to do is add the materials. For that, I'm going to use a reference lop. This is a nice way to bring these external resources in. For the file pattern, I'm going to come to the materials folder, examples, standard surface, and you'll see it's not there. The MTLX file is not there. You want to show all files, so just an asterisk will do. And here is the chess set material. Let's bring that in. Next, what we want to do is now connect materials with the corresponding geometry. So for that, I'm going to use a material linker lop. So I'm going to take and hide this here so that we have a little more room to work. On the left, we have the materials. On the right, we have the geometry. And in the middle, there's this column called rules. This is where we'll assign a specific geometry to a specific material. So which ones do we want to use? Do we want to use those with an M prefix or without? Actually, it doesn't matter. If you look at the MaterialX file, you'll see they also create a look. And you can see that if you look in the scene graph, you'll see there's these looks that have these materials in them. But there's also just the plain materials, and those are the ones that have the M prefix. So I'll just go ahead and use these, drag them over, expand the geometry, and here are the different groups, if you will. We'll take the black bishop, the bishop B, and bring it over and assign it to the M material bishop black. And now if you look at the viewport, let me go ahead and hide the scene graph, you will now see the black bishops have material. Now we're just going to go through and continue doing this. The white bishop, we'll have to scroll up here so you can see it. The white bishop will go there. And now the white bishop in the viewport you see has its material. And I'll just go through and do the remainder. The black castles or the black rooks, the white rooks, the chessboard, the black king, the white king, the black knight, the white knight, the black pawn body, the white pawn body, and now the tops of the black pawns and the tops of the white pawns, the black queen and the white queen. Let's return to the standard layout. Let me just reload the Solaris desktop. There we go. So we now have the chess set that you saw on the MaterialX homepage inside Houdini with all the materials attached. Now what you can do is go through and light this and experiment with it. First thing I want to point out, by the way, you'll notice that the tops of the pawns have these glass-like materials attached to them, and they don't look very convincing. That's because right now we're using the Houdini GL shader. So I'm going to first set the settings for the Karma renderer. Karma render settings. I want to use the fast XPU engine with only 8 path traced samples, and I'll also go ahead and use a denoiser. Now that that's been set, we can come back up here and change to the Karma renderer. And now you can see it looks greatly improved, and the tops of the pawns are now more believable material. So there you go. This is how you can download and set up the chess set that is demonstrated on the homepage of the MaterialX website. It's a fun model to play with, and furthermore, if you come into the demo folder, into MaterialX, main, resources, materials, examples, standard surface, and open the chess set MaterialX file, this is a great way to see that it's an XML file, and you can go through and learn about what nodes are there, how they correspond to Houdini nodes, and just in general how the MaterialX standard works. You don't need to do this, but it is a great way to just become more comfortable with the idea that MaterialX is an XML file that follows specific rules. And furthermore, the names of the MaterialX nodes in Houdini correspond very nicely with the names of the elements in this XML file. So there you go. I hope you download the chess set and the materials and play around with it today. I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in the future.